Land in Lubbock, more specifically. And what about land? Because we get a lot of calls from people who, when they want to move here, they imagine they got a lot, 3 acres, 2 acres. They're pumping their own water. Maybe they got some oil, you know. Well, they've got their own septic tank.
I can have oil on 3 acres. I don't want to.
Hey,
I don't want to set.
You might. You can always dream.
But no, that's a good. You can, because there's different. You could talk about if you're residential housing. That's an acre to, I'd say 10. When we get above that, land it's a totally different conversation when you're talking real estate.
So anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about. I mean, there's really I would say 3 things that we need to hit.
Okay.
You've got the necessity of land in Lubbock, the utility of land in Lubbock, and for you crazy people out there, we're going to talk about investing in land if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of a top tier investor move.
If you're investing here,
I mean, if you're still listening to Bigger Pockets and figuring out how to wholesale, I wouldn't, do this. But if you
typically more seasoned investors.
More seasoned, that's what I would say. Definitely more seasoned folks do this. So anyway, we're gonna have some guest stars, some folks that may be pretty familiar with land that might
more than us.
No way more than us. They may hop in. If that happens, just bear with us. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, number 1 is necessity of it. Now, I'm just gonna throw the cliche saying out here so we can get it out of the way. They're not making any more of it.
Get that out of the way.
Yeah. Everyone always says that. Every older gentleman that I get on the phone with, they're not making any more of it.
They're not making any more of it, Jaden.
It's funny, like the first time I heard it, right?
It's like when, the waiter comes up to the table and you finish your food and then you say, I hated it. And the waiter's like, oh, you're...
Good old dad jokes.
Good old dad jokes.
But Lubbock is going to be a little bit different than if you're Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, because when you start talking about they're not making any more of it, that's because they are packing it. Those cities are spreading. You can still get around Lubbock, drive 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and still be in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, legitimately nowhere.
So there's ample land here.
Yep.
But there's different ways in this. I think, like we talked about in the intro, investing in it is totally different than we're talking about, 300-acre tracts.
Oh, yeah.
But I think what we get more calls of, and it's just the nature of what we do because we're in the residential side, is, hey, I'm wanting to be, you have the idea of coming to Texas. I don't want to just go to a neighborhood. I want to feel like I'm in Texas. I want to buy a piece of it. I want an acre.
I want to be able to shoot my shotgun out on my porch.
Exactly. I want an acre to 10 acres, which good and bad news is we have a lot of that.
Yep.
The bad news is everybody else wants that too. So it's a little bit more competitive, but at the same time, that's kind of where I'm in. I live in a beautiful neighborhood.
Yes.
But there's times where I walk out and I'm like,
okay, why don't you brag a little bit?
I'm just saying.
We have an HOA. I've got a pool, a personal waiter.
But to that, I still sit there and I'm like, a lot more space and not neighbors on top of me would still be nice. So there's an intangible.
Pause and think that.
I will,
you pause and think, huh. And then you ponder.
And then I ponder. And then I do what I was going to do anyway. I don't change my actions.
The whole thing goes down in 10 seconds.
But I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely.
If residential is going to be, I would call it, some of y'all get crazy, you might build a house on 30 acres, maybe. But what we
That'd be awesome. You should still call us.
And do that. And what we see more traditionally is 1 to 10 acres for single family residential.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so numero dos. It's a short list today. We're still going in depth though. Is utility, like we discussed. So obviously there's a lot of things you can do with land. One of them being that, yes, but that's more of a necessity. You have to have shelter. You're going to have a place to live. I would say that if people are really going to use land here and it's not to invest really, even though everything's kind of an investment, it's going to be farming and ranching.
Yep.
And maybe we could talk about commercial stuff, but I would say farming and ranching here. Do we know a whole lot about that? I'm going to come out the gate and say no.
Hey, I know that rain makes corn and
corn makes whiskey. Right? And what does that do, Jaden? And I'll tell you, we wear a lot of cotton. We're familiar with
you're not giving yourself enough credit. So with that, if it's a long-term play and this is in the land space, the same thing as buying a rental. You don't want to buy, if we're looking at putting our investment lenses on, if we buy this piece of land, you don't want to just sit, not have any kind of cash flow.
Why would I do that?
Now, I'm not going to say you're going to get bukus of cash flow like you would buying a quality rental, but it is a way to offset some of that cost. You get a farmer out there that's they're paying a lease, they're going to farm it for you until you're ready to do whatever you're going to do with that.
Right. So it might be more of a long-term thing is what you're saying.
It's a long-term to get something going so you're not just sitting and holding raw dirt and not letting that money work.
But we probably wouldn't recommend someone doing that unless they're very familiar with.
I'll never lie to someone. I don't know a thing about farming or
That's
ranching. I don't know.
the kicker.
And
So
that's
if you
where-
know, but what we're saying is if you know what you're doing, it's a good spot for it. We don't.
We're residential guys.
We don't know what we're doing. We're just telling you. If you do, good spot to be. Here's our residential ranch expert, Mr. Corey Zant.
Hey, listen,
Where do you want them, Bailey?
Hey, are they making any more of
They're
it?
not making any more of it.
What are they gonna do?
Not make any more of it.
Panic. Wait,
So,
before
according
we.
to my notes, they're not making any more of it.
I was gonna ask before you sat down.
Hold on, I gotta
Do your calculations.
carry the two. Yeah, they're not making any.
Are they not?
No, what's there is there.
Good. Turn it off. Turn off YouTube. What about volcanoes, guys? They technically are making more of
They're
it.
making more. of it.
They are making more of it. We found it. We hacked it. All right, everyone, Mr. Corey.
There was a lot of we don't know statements in the last one because we are residential guys, but if we don't know, we find someone who does.
Correct.
And that's why we have our
That's why
good
we
friend.
have him.
Put it right here. Corey
good friend
Zant,
Corey Zant.
Veritas Land and Ranch.
Yeah.
So, Corey, tell us about the land that they're not making any more of, or maybe some real-world client experiences of you're helping people buy land.
Yeah, if you're not talking about the residential side, some people we've noticed with investors is they'll play land as a speculation. So
Okay.
they know like Loop 88 is coming through it. That might be a 20-year play, and a lot of people don't want to wait that long.
Sure.
But like you mentioned before, yeah. Do I need this?
I think so.
Is this thing on?
Ow.
You can do like you did with the rental and lease it out to a farmer. A lot of the times that can be 20 to 30% of the
Yeah.
crop share.
Yep.
Do different crops yield different, or is it kind of you have a good standard, hey, we're renting out, it's going to be this per, or does, if you're growing cotton or corn or wheat, does it change what you're getting in return on that land?
I mean, I mostly just know about cotton since that's our primary.
West Texas,
but
so yeah.
we've seen cash leases anywhere from 50 to 100 an acre, just depending on your water. But most of the common is you get about 20 to 30% of the crop share as an owner.
You said something interesting there about water. What's the water like in Lubbock?
Really depends. In some places it could be terrible. Other places it could be very good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're buying land, you really need to know your water situation. Absolutely.
I love it.
Due diligence in the water.
So don't buy some land with no water.
If you want a fun word, look up the Ogallala Aquifer.
That does sound kind of
Recharge
fun.
rates. Yeah.
Ogallala.
You don't want to be here.
Wait, it's poisoned?
Hold on. So you touched on an important thing there. When you talk about, so we have a new loop being built on the outside of our already existing loop, which is going to make it way easier to travel.
Yeah.
But with that, you got the state coming in and buying. So although a much more long-term play where it's a 15 to 20-year hold is what you think.
Yeah, so
There's some offset in that because the state is going to buy back.
So that would be more on the investing side. I mean, and this is a play with land. I think this is what most people do. That's why we're saying you got to be relatively seasoned, is because they're looking at long term. I mean, we're talking 10 or 20, and you got to factor in your holding costs for that, taxes. That's including and if you've got a $5 million piece of property that you think might be worth 20 in 15 years, then
You got to be able to hold out for those
Yes.
15, 20 years.
Precisely.
Right.
And you got to be fighting the government the whole time.
Have we lied to them yet?
But the thing is, with land, the property taxes.
Sorry.
The thing with land, or specifically agricultural land, the property taxes are way less.
Way less.
I mean, you're paying very minimal. Like you see a guy that's got $5 million in property, and he's paying
$10
a
bucks.
quarter of what we pay on our residential.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Corey and viewers and Jaden. If I buy some land and throw some cows on it, it's technically a business, right? I mean, right? A farm. Audit this man.
Gray area. If you bought cows, they would all die.
You will naturally. they do more than that. Yeah. But it would be a business, right?
Yeah.
It could be.
People do
And then guess what you can do with businesses? If the CPA comes, write stuff off. I could write off a cow. Thank you, everyone, for Corey Zant. This video is sponsored by the Anti-Volcano Club.
I don't understand. Are we for or against volcanoes?
Well, I think we're for
What side
volcanoes.
are we fighting for?
I'm for volcanoes.
Volcanoes are the only thing creating land.
Let's go magma.
Magma.
Yeah, so I have one.
All right, see you, Corey. Wow, what a crazy video this has been.
Crazy.
I mean,
Just
we
making
got people
people
just appearing in and out. Do we think that there's anything else we could give to the people? I would say the last thing is, I mean, obviously, we just said it. We are definitely more residential guys. We can plug you with people if you want to do something else.
We know enough to be dangerous.
We know enough to be dangerous.
That's it.
Yes, exactly. We do know enough to be dangerous. So I think that was good.
Absolutely.
I think we're wrapped. Well, yeah, we're gonna keep cranking these videos out as always. You got anything to say?
No.
Come on.
As always.
We'll see y'all next week. Toodaloo.